story in 4 to 6 minutes, and I realized it's a very bad idea. So, what I decided I wanted to share with you today is an experience that I had in the forest a few years ago that changed my life completely. It was a revelation, a really big insight that changed how I saw the world completely, how I saw myself, and how I saw other people. And it's also the reason that I joined Toastmasters. So, I'm Linda, I'm 39 years old, I'm Dutch, and as far back as I can remember, I've always had a very strong sense that there was something I needed to find. And I thought it was some sense of freedom, maybe it was great adventure, or maybe a purpose in my life. And for many, many, many years, decades, I've been looking for it, through traveling, through many, many different hobbies, through different jobs, and eventually my path led me to do a course, to do a training, to become an outdoor and survival guide in nature. And at some point I decided I'm going to do a course in the forest about animal tracking and bird language. So I did, I signed up for it. It was 4 days, and I learned a lot about those topics, but I also learned a lot of other things that I never expected would happen. And that's the revelation I'm going to tell you about. So what happened was, during those 4 days, every single day, I had to sit by myself for several hours in silence to observe the bird language patterns and the communication patterns around me. And what happened on the 4th day was something that I didn't expect. So it was the end of the afternoon. Another time we had the assignment to sit somewhere by ourselves and to observe. I decided to sit along a forest edge somewhere with a big sand plain in front that was surrounded by more forest, because they said every day around this time there will be a lot of deer coming out, and I really wanted to see them. So I sat there and I was hoping for the deer to come while I was observing what was happening around me, but they didn't come. And I was like, okay, well, it's what it is. So I let it all go, and I suddenly sat there and it was slowly getting dark, and there was this really, really amazing silence around me. And I suddenly felt a presence there. I was really present in the moment, and I felt such a strong connection to everything around me, to the forest, to the animals, the plants, and everything. And I just never felt that strong, such a strong sense of connection before in my life as I felt in that moment. And that's when I had a realization that all the struggle, obstacles I've been experiencing in my life to that point, all the reasons why I felt that I could not find what I wanted to find, was actually because of my own mind and my own conditioning and the whole bubble imprisonment, I call it, that I used to be stuck in. And I suddenly realized that that was the case for all of us. And we all lived in this ego, and we all live in this imprisonment of our own mind in some way. And right in the moment that I thought, wow, how come I've never seen this before, I did not realize this, a very loud rumbling started to happen, and a group of 7 huge roe deer came storming out of the forest from the other side of the plain. And the thing is, I was expecting them to follow the regular path, because we'd been tracking them earlier in the day. But what they did instead, they ran this way, which was the forest edge. And there was another person sitting there, about 50, 100 meters away from me, let's call her Anna. The deer came storming out of the forest, right at her. They stood still right in front of her, there was no path, nothing. And they started breathing, of course, very loudly, and they looked her in the eyes. And it happened, they stood there for a moment, and suddenly it was a stillness, and then they stormed off right past me, and they continued on their regular path. And I was stunned by it, and as you can imagine, Anna was completely freaked out, because, you know, completely, yeah, obviously, you can imagine. And I was also stunned. I was thinking, okay, this can't be a coincidence. Why did they run towards her? There was nothing